There's a frequency in this room. I can hear it. Even my mic is picking up on it. No. Okay, so I thought maybe this would be a good video because a lot of people come to my channel, they watch, and they probably see stuff like this, and they probably freak out some more, because why not? So I thought, you know what, there's kind of a few things I've been wanting to discuss on my channel anyway, things that I actually do know because it is my department, I guess you could put it that way. So obviously there's the people who are like, there's bad witches and there's good witches and there's just witches and people doing magic and it's not Harry Potter stuff. I'm sorry to disappoint people that I know of. I'm sorry, I wasn't privileged enough to get my letter or whatever. I don't know. That's not my department. To clear up some things, I guess I can answer that yeah, there are some good witches and there are some bad witches, and there are some that combine both kind of elements to whatever works for them. And I will get into that. I'm not just gonna leave this video hanging with questions. If you do have questions, I will do a longer video on this. I just wanted to have something informative on my channel for a change, I guess. So I'm going to give an example, and we're going to take Christianity because I guess it's more followed. Just as someone who actually is dedicated to worshipping God or Jesus, you do get people who use God and Jesus for money making. Like they'll sell hundreds of books because they think, oh cool, here's a book on how your teenager should love itself, how your husband should actually love you and put you second to God. And people buy these books. As someone who has been in retail, so who sold books, I'm aware of how people just eat up these books like nothing. I mean, it's the same when like a witch book comes out. I probably will look through it, check if I agree with some stuff. If I don't, I won't buy the book. With something like Christianity, I noticed that people go, oh cool, I know this author, they've written a bunch of books, they have to be right, and they kind of buy it. Meanwhile, that person I doubt is actually Christian themselves. The author, I'm not naming people because a lot of people just switch and then they go, oh, I'm actually this now and this and that, wherever the money is. And I've known a lot of people who've also been like, they're not Christian, but they could probably write a few books and get a lot of money out of it, and bad. I think it's bad to exploit on any religion, but we see a lot of churches and stuff do that, even especially in South Africa, especially in Bloemfontein where I live. Some churches, they just fly in on helicopters, and you have to have a certain income to join the church. Brian at a stage, he joined a friend to go one time and they asked him all these questions. So I'm taking that as a legit person source kind of thing because that is scary, and I think that kind of religion-based thing is bad. You get churches actually just like, if you want to donate to the church, cool, that's fine, but you get people who are just scary. Already established kind of a difference between bad Christians and good Christians. People who actually do care, people who are just there to praise their deity or whatever, but then people who try and turn it into profit for their own good. Bad. So the same could be said about witches, technically. You do get people who are in it just for the money. There was a thing a while ago, Doreen Virtue, who did a lot of tarot cards and stuff, was like, no, she's actually Christian, just using it for money. And there's like, putting that aside, you do get good witches and you get bad witches, just like you get bad Christians, good Christians, or any other kind of religion. I don't want to go into different religions now, but I am just giving those examples. So there are different types of witches. You will hear a lot about people who are into Wicca. That is how I kind of stepped into this. At 11, I bought a book on being a teenage witch, and in the book they taught about how to become a Wiccan. Wicca is more new-ish, if I can put it that way, the more modern kind of look at things, more the good stuff. It's more, if you have the intentions of doing dark magic, don't be surprised when bad stuff happens to you and stuff like that. That being said as well, like, I think everyone has their own god that they look up to. With Wicca, and specifically, there was a god and a goddess. I have not been a Wiccan since I was about 16, 17, because then I was like, oh, there's a whole other world out there. Even then I moved on because I felt that there are more beings out there, deities or whatever, and I felt like there could be better ways to pray or worship or ask for things, if I could put it that way. For example, you get many types of witches. Yes, you do get people who do mix in with the dark stuff. I'm not gonna even just lie about that. You do get people who do things primarily for harm, who do work with demons and everything. But there are more witches out there than that who do not work with that, who do not mess with that kind of magic, because potentially it could be dangerous. We don't know what's out there realistically. Maybe God exists, maybe Satan exists, maybe both don't, you know, but the idea of working with something dark does freak people out. Same, I guess, can be said as if a Christian were to suddenly worship Satan and something does happen and they're like, oh no, I messed up. Just an example, okay? One of the types of witches you do get, for example, are green witches who do work with garden stuff. For example, I have seen magic where it's like you get new plants or you're planting seeds or something. You open the ground, put your seed in, and as you're doing that, you put your intent of what you want to have fulfilled to come to your life. You bury the seed and everything like that. And it's like, great, cool, that's the spell. Just look after the plant, right? But obviously there is a lot more to green witches than that. I'm just gonna start listing types of witches you do get. You get sea witches. I think that's self-explanatory. Their magic has to do with the sea or what comes from the sea, what they put out into the sea. A lunar witch would probably be, for example, work with the moon. You also get elemental witches who work with the elements, obviously, which comes to this. This is a sign of the elements. A lot of people think, oh, it's the satanic thing. If it was on its side like that, sure, but it is balanced out, right? It is not the satanic whatever a lot of people mistake it for. Each point, for example, represents an element. So you got fire, earth, water, air, and spirit, protected with a circle. People use with their magic, they will protect themselves with a circle so that nothing can technically interfere with your magic, nothing can technically interrupt it or, you know, break something. It's basically also can be to protect yourself. It's why I wear this, because this is a symbol of protection with the elements and the circle. Please stop confusing and putting it in horror movies. I do not understand this shit. Another example would be Crystal Witch. Crystal witches work with crystals, obviously. Crystal magic, they use the energy that comes from the crystals. Obviously, you get a lot of crystals, so you get stuff to help you with peace and stuff to vibrate your energy, and it's just fun times all around. Religious witches also exist, but obviously, like I said, they choose their own deities or whatever. There are a lot of people I know that are witches, but they are Christian as well, so they do worship God, they do, you know, still go to church and everything, but they do magic according to Christianity, I guess. I'm not in that department, but just to give an example, there are stuff like that. But you get witches who also talk to Thor and Odin and Apollo and Zeus, and there's not just a limit on gods. There are probably thousands and thousands of gods out there. If you want to be a witch, anyone can be a witch. You don't have to be a woman. Men can be witches. Trans people can be witches. It's not just like a thing, like a private club. Also, like I said, I was 11 when I picked up that book. It's not like you're waiting for a tree to hit you and you're like, oh, there's my wand, it's a sign, and then you're like going with it. I don't know. Then you also get eclectic witches, which I am one of those. I borrow what I find is accurate from other religions. I use other methods from other witches' crafts or whatever that suits what feels right to me. So if I want to do that seed planting, I will do that. I don't bound myself down to one specific thing. I feel like you can take and come and go wherever, even if it's like simple things like, hey, do not harm or something like that, like small little things like that. I'm like, that makes sense. I will incorporate that into my beliefs or anything like that. I'm just trying to enlighten people on how there's a whole other world out there besides the witches you see in movies that are stabbing people and eating babies in the woods. I haven't met those kind of witches yet, but I don't know. They probably exist. I don't mess with that, obviously. I know this is pretty much a weird video just to put out on my channel, but obviously I want to do more videos like this, just explaining that, hey, this is the way things actually work, and that is not all bad like the movies try and show it, or the way books write about it. I have been guilty of writing weird magics, fantasy stuff where witches have magic at their tips and everything, and stuff just shoots out, and it's not just like that. Probably is. Again, I didn't get my letter. I don't know. But from a muggle witch, this is how it works. That being said, a lot of people will probably mention that I am mentioning Harry Potter a lot, but it's just my way of trying to somewhat get through to some people, I guess. That is the easiest way I could think of, is comparing some stuff to something else. But if anyone would like me to elaborate on stuff like this, I would be more than happy to. I actually would like to create a whole series, maybe breaking down the different types of witches, which I can also familiarize myself with. Maybe I can even talk about how I got more into that and why I chose that kind of religious side and everything like that. So, are there evil witches? Yes and no. Just like I said, the same as you can have evil Christians and good Christians. I think honestly, if your religion's asking you to kill or use it for money profits and to manipulate people, then yeah. But if you're just doing a simple thing like planting a seed and watering it and giving thanks to the earth. But I'm gonna leave it there. I hope this somewhat helped people. I know it's not very informative, but like I said, I just wanted to break down the basics of, hey, yes, you do get good people, you do get bad people. It is a thing. This is how the planet works. This is the balance. Think of it as the Jedi versus the Sith. There's not balance without the other. But anyway, if you guys do want to see more, please let me know. I can talk about the different witches. I would happily talk about the kind of things we do use. I'd like to do things on tarots maybe one day, crystals even. It's very different to the channel, but I'm just taking a chance here. So if anyone's very curious, let me know. But hey, thanks for watching. Anyway, I'm gonna end the video here. Bye bye.